Greetings friends and compatriots, and welcome to another episode of the Burning Table, a petty and stupid and rather insignificant wrestling talk show thing on the internet, and I keep introducing it the same way every single month lately. You'll be noticing that we're back to 4 people, which is a rather miracle after you've been spent the last couple of months watching me and Al drone on in a darkened room together. And someone new person, Tom, who has brought his DX t-shirt to air for the evening. And, yes, stuff. And Clark's back by the coffee rush from his 60-day suspension for basically being called Clark. And, Al's here again.
I've got nowhere else to go.
No.
No one else wants you.
No one else wants him. Anyway, boys, Royal Rumble.
I believe we've all watched this one.
Yes, it's a miracle. We're going to talk about a pay-per-view we've all seen. Hallelujah for this one.
Well, first contest, Swagger beat Matt Hardy in a bit of a averagey.
I thought it was alright.
I think it was setting up because you see the disappointment in Matt's eyes, so it's like setting him up for what later on in the evening, really.
You were looking into Matt's eyes.
Oh, yeah, looking into many men's eyes. But yeah.
Right, okay.
Still that song of Dirty Dancing now. No.
What?
Back the card.
That's the card, right.
Melina defeated Beth Phoenix and...
Wait a minute, you're running away here. We're still on the first match here.
Well, I didn't think it deserved much of a debate, really, but...
I'm opening the floor.
I'd have to agree with him, it was quite a poor match.
Yeah. That's how I felt about it too, I'll be honest.
See, I like Matt Hardy and I think he's a good wrestler, and they just don't use him to the best of his abilities.
I'll tell you what, we'll just spend the 10 minutes talking about Matt Hardy, yeah? Just hell with the rest of the card,
Do you remember when I dressed up as Matt Hardy for Halloween, Al?
Yes, right, so...
Anyway,
Beth Phoenix against Melina, that was another... Although the funny bit was Santino when he was upset, he couldn't believe Beth got pinned at the end.
I think Santino probably stole the show in that match, actually.
It was funny,
Although
yeah.
it did feature one of the most interesting sort of wrestling spots I've ever seen in the
Is that when she was
in my
kicking
life.
herself in the head?
Yeah, when you're Melina and you're being kicked in the head by your own shoes.
I must admit that was interesting,
That was brilliant. They should have had the guy pop up from Wayne's World 2. You know, when he's the roadie telling that story in the diner when he's going on about, I had to go and get some bread M&Ms for Ozzy, otherwise he wouldn't go on stage with Black Sabbath. We had to break into the shoe shop. The owner wasn't happy, so I beat him to death with his own shoes. I should have had that. That's what that was. That was a reenactment. They were watching Wayne's World. But yeah, Santino stole the show.
Title match is Cena against JBL.
With Sean in the corner.
Tom's just shook his head at that.
Yes, yeah, another poor match in a string of a poor story.
Well, apparently...
But you just knew, didn't you, that Sean was going to end up with this whole, who am I going to help?
Well, no, apparently this is how he explained his actions. Obviously, he kicked JBL first.
Yeah.
And then Cena was like, oh, well done, Sean, you've seen the light. Then kicked Cena and then dragged JBL on top of him. But apparently, he explained himself on Raw saying, he kicked JBL in the face to gain Cena's trust. So you wouldn't expect him to kick Cena in the face. Which makes no sense at all, obviously, but that's how he explains his actions away.
So... no, it's pointless, it's stupid.
And obviously Cena ended up retaining. And then the biggish surprise edge, Jeff Hardy, I saw coming, although wanted it to be Christian, basically, in that match. As I think we all did.
I think, yeah, upon hearing a couple of days earlier that they'd re-signed Christian and he finally negotiated a contract with them, you were expecting a little bit of kind of an impact from Christian's debut, and I genuinely thought that Christian was going to come down at that moment. Me and Tom were watching the Royal Rumble together, and we were actually a bit, I've got to admit, I was a bit surprised at the whole Matt Hardy turning thing. I didn't think they'd do.
No, we weren't. No one in the house we were at was surprised.
No.
You've seen it all before, though. It's happened.
It's
in
actually
the
the third time the Hardys have broke up.
But really,
the argument for this one is they weren't really together.
Yeah, that was what I was just going to say. They're not really together. They're on different cards. They don't really team up together
still
anymore.
Friends.
Well, the brothers.
Yes, and friendly brothers.
Well, not anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is the third time they've not been friendly brothers.
Yeah, I
used to have a friendly brother, but he's moved away now. Yeah, they put him in a home. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. Moving swiftly on. It was the first time that they broke up not that kind wrestling match they had where they had the whole thing about how Lita couldn't quite decide which brother she wanted to side with?
Lita was the guest referee,
That's the one.
and she counted. I think it was Matt's shoulders down, but Matt's foot was on the rope. Armageddon 2000, no 2001, I think actually, or Vengeance, as it'll be
Not
called.
long ago.
Yeah, because they were back at the Rumble 2002. They were back fighting against the Undertaker, and then was it mid 2002 they broke up again? Matt did his own version 1.
Yeah.
On Jeff and became his own version 1 thing.
Oh, wasn't that when he went through that with the sort of like really low point in his career where he had that little
Shannon Moore.
puppy who used to just get the living daylight beaten out of him?
That was essentially what Shannon Moore was there for.
A good hiding.
Pretty much.
Excellent.
Where
Where can I find one?
Yep, yeah, Jeff losing the title to Edge. Edge's
do you not think
surprise.
that's a waste though?
It was good Edge's surprise. I like Edge's look on Edge's face.
Yeah, that was cool. He did it well. But do you not think that totally devalues the run that Jeff Hardy had?
He should have won the Rumble and went on to Romania. That's what I reckon.
Because
I
they've
think
had
he
this
did.
big hype about him becoming champion for such a long time, and then he messed it up for himself, and then finally he gets the belt, and then all of a sudden he loses it in hardly any time whatsoever. It's like, well, why even give him the belt?
But
You know,
the tail end of last year was kind of characterised by stuff like that, because Batista had like a week-long reign. Jericho had a month-long reign. Hardy's now had a
the thing was
month-long
though,
reign.
they didn't build it up as much as they did with the Jeff Hardy one. Really?
No, but
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
but
I mean,
Jeff Hardy.
it had been coming for such a long time. You know, oh, Hardy's he's going to be the next champion, and then finally they do it, and he just.
If
he
Jeff
loses it.
Hardy hadn't have been suspended for the time, you've got to think he would have maybe have won the belt at WrestleMania, but
Yes.
not long after.
See, I'd have to agree with Alan
Because
then.
Hardy being suspended was probably the reason they gave it to CM Punk.
But I mean, I'd have to agree with Alan then. Why not just not give him the belt, let him be in the Rumble, let him win the Rumble, and let him have his shot at WrestleMania?
Yeah, Hardy wins.
You know, that would have been.
Would have been a much more interesting
Yeah, he would have been
show
a better
really as well.
And that would have meant then that they could have actually, you know, built up a feud with him and Edge or him and someone else, and Jeff could have had a half-decent title reign, whereas it's been next to nothing.
Is Edge in the Hardy in the Elimination Chamber? No, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, but then what's he going to do? He's going to win the title back again.
No, I presume it's going to be Matt Jeff at WrestleMania. I presume that's what they're going for.
But
But I'm wondering if they did all along want it to be Christian, and then at the last moment changed their minds because they had the whole thing of people running Jeff off the road and the fireworks going wrong and stuff like that.
yeah,
Now they're all saying it's Matt Hardy, but it just doesn't make any sense.
But then he's still not admitting to it.
Oh, he did that speech when he said it might have been me, didn't he? You
Yeah.
can't prove it, sort of thing. So this was a bit crap.
yeah.
But he's gone down the whole jealousy angle. Like we thought, he's jealous of his brother's success.
Who's jealous of his brother's success? Matt's jealous of his brother's success?
Yeah.
How can he be jealous? Oh well,
He's
yeah,
never
that's
been
the point
jealous.
anyway.
So, just
It's
just
not a
quickly,
proper
lads,
belt.
So
because
Rumble match
the
itself.
Rumble match itself, we've got a minute and a half left of this section.
Oh my god. Well, it's,
Wish
longer than
Christian-
Santino was in the Rumble
Yeah,
for
pretty
anyway.
much, yeah.
Wish Christian had have made an entry.
Yeah, anyone,
Into it.
there wasn't that many surprises this
Var
year.
of
Rob
it,
Van
was
Dam,
cool. That was
yeah.
cool.
Rob Van
Yes.
Dam was the biggie, but
Yeah,
Axel
it
Jim
was.
Duggan.
Oh. We sat there watching
wasn't-
it going, Al says number 26 is really
29,
good.
29.
Sorry, gets
He
it
wasn't
really
one of my
29.
picks, was he?
No, it's mine.
Yeah, once again this year we've done a little sort of like, you know,
Yeah, switch
tombola
tape when
thing,
you
and
watched it.
yes, all of my wrestlers were absolutely awful and got thrown out of the ring quite quickly.
I thought the final four was poor. I could see what they were going for. I thought the final four were very poor, having Randy Orton's little stable and Triple H.
I thought they were all going to eliminate Triple H and then be left with the three of them. And then Randy Orton would just basically tell DiBiase and Cody Rhodes just eliminate themselves.
I thought for a second Triple H was going to beat three of them, and I thought,
Oh, that was
no.
yeah,
the
that's
biggest
what we
nightmare.
all-
I would have hated that.
That's what
every
we all
minute of
thought.
that.
Here we go, Triple H,
Triple
one-man
H,
army,
yeah.
take them all out.
Now, I thought Orton would have been a good surprise if they hadn't set up the thing with Vince beforehand. That
Yeah,
pretty
that
much,
basically gave it away.
that pretty much pinpointed Orton to being probably the winner.
Anyway, we'll have to probably just continue this discussion with the next part. We're going to take a little break now, and we'll be back for part 2, in which we'll be going on about No Way Out, amongst other generic, strange stuff.
And my brother.
And Al's long lost brother.